The most recent event held by Donald Trump in Madison Square Garden was truly something to behold, but I think the most important part to take away from all of it was that of a speech given by one Tucker Carlson, because my goodness, Tucker just absolutely knocked it out of the park with this eloquent monologue, surmising exactly what so many of us have been feeling and screeching into the void on deaf ears for so long. The fact is that Tucker tackles so many different important talking points, and we're just going to skim over them real quick and then I'll throw you into him so you don't have to hear me babble. But the thing is, I truly appreciate this, and it was so cathartic to hear something that I have been stating for so long be voiced on such a stage with so many people to hear. And it's not the fact that these are my own ideas, because I stem from the fact of the school of thought from the great Dr. Ron Paul, and with that, an understanding of what it means to stand for liberty, freedom, and individual rights. And because of that fact, we can see that the evolution of the political landscape, along with the new age political realignment that we see unfurling, has only brought us to the precipice that so many people that stand for the ideals of freedom, no matter the individual and what they believe, are realizing what it is that they're fighting. And it's the establishment versus the fundamentals of freedom itself. And that is exactly what so many have come to the precipice of understanding of. And it is exactly why so many are throwing their vote behind Donald Trump. Is it going to do exactly what they desire? Who knows? But the fact is, this is what they believe, and that is why they are so steadfast in their support for him. This political realignment is a huge factor to pay attention to, and not only that, we can see that Donald Trump only proving something that he had said right for so long, which I find quite intriguing to see, because he had said ages ago, they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just standing in the way. And in doing so, by standing in the way, he claimed that he would be persecuted endlessly. And as we see in his home state of New York, he absolutely was. But he returns triumphantly to a crowd in the largest stadium, Madison Square Garden, and gets an absolute full house. It is remarkable to see, especially considering the consistent narrative that's perpetrated that people in these deep blue cities like New York City, well, they despise someone like Donald Trump. And apparently a large portion, if not most of the attendants at this event, they were actually Trump supporters from New York and New York City itself. So very clearly, openly defying the standards of what have been sold by the media, that he is simply a man who is hated by all in his home state. It is unbelievable. We may very well be dealing with a Star Wars arc of A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and then we see the Return of the Jedi with Donald Trump coming back to hammer fist the regime into oblivion. Do I actually think that's going to happen? No. But like I stated, this is what so many people believe is going to happen, and that's why they're willing to throw their vote behind Donald Trump. The fact is that we see Trump has officially given people the liberation to openly speak out against the establishment and criticize the regime without hesitation. And this is a perfect example of why it is that I value Donald Trump, because he gives people permission to criticize things like the wars, and nothing provides this example more perfect than the fact of what we saw unfurl in 2015 with Donald Trump dealing with Jeb Bush on the stage in North Carolina in the presidential primary debate for the Republican National Convention. What did we see? We saw Donald Trump look at Jeb Bush in his eyes and say, "Your brother lied us into a war in Iraq. He lied, we killed 1 million people, and it was a disaster. And we got nothing out of it, and all we did was wreak havoc across the Middle East." And what did we see? Boos ramming out from that of the people in the crowd. Donald Trump openly stating that the people in this crowd itself, many of which donors of that of the regime itself, people who would endlessly support the consistent warfare state. So there we see exactly who would be in opposition to standards of calling out the warfare state and the establishment as a whole. It would be people that are nothing more than its servants and mouthpieces, which is exactly what we see so consistently happening with the media endlessly attacking Donald Trump. The fact is that Tucker Carlson nails so much of this down in his speech, rolling into the fact of talking about how truly unimpressive the elites are of the current era, whether it be someone like Kamala Harris, Liz Cheney, Joe Biden, or so many others under the sun, Karine Jean-Pierre, or many of these different apparatchiks within that of the media class, none of which are impressive. All of which are propagandists trying to sell you a narrative and sell you nothing more than lies, and it doesn't matter how many of those lies destroy you, your relationships, the ability for you to create a sustainable life because of the fabric of the society you live in being distorted and destroyed because of the narratives that these propagandists have sold, completely annihilating the fabric of what people once had was the stable tapestry to walk upon, which created civil society. They have no desire or care to uphold any of this. All they have the desire and care to uphold is their fealty to the regime, and I would argue this new coalition under Donald Trump truly highlights that fact in so many ways, because as you can see, so many of these people who were once darlings of the media, darlings of the political elite, are now being attacked endlessly solely for the fact that they have switched who it is that they align behind politically. So now you've had enough of me. Let's go ahead now and throw it into Tucker Carlson, and you can go ahead and listen to this wonderful speech by the man himself. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Enjoy Tucker speaking. Thank you for watching if you got this far listening to me. Don't go away because you will be able to hear that man who was removed from Fox News himself in just a second. Stay lovely, stay great. Tell someone you love them. Peace out, lads. Enjoy.
I saw the Grateful Dead in this arena in 1987. I was seated right there. How weird. It's such an honor to be here, and it's wild. Just another day following Bobby Kennedy Jr. at a Donald Trump rally in Madison Square Garden. I mean, what? That's totally normal. Liz Cheney's out there with Kamala Harris. And there's Bobby Kennedy calling to protect women's sports at a Trump rally. It's a realignment. It's unbelievable. And the fact that it's here is even sweeter. Imagine if you're, and just pause for one moment. Imagine you're Donald Trump. You're from New York City. You become famous in New York City. You make your fortune in New York City. And all of a sudden, the leadership of New York City decides they're going to destroy you because they don't like your politics. And so they, yeah, boo. Imagine if that were you, though. And they try and take everything that you have. They try and put you in prison. They try and put your children in prison. If that happened to you, how often do you think you'd be going back to New York City? How about never? And yet he's here. It's like getting thrown out of a bar. And you think to yourself, well, you know, all my friends are in the bar. And you approach the door and there's the bouncer like, you're not allowed in here. But from behind the bouncer, you hear the cheers of your friend, come on in! And the bouncer hangs his head in shame. Ugh. He's embarrassed that he's working for the man trying to keep the most popular person out of the bar. And that's Donald Trump back in the city that produced him with no embarrassment at all, in a room full of his friends. The stones that takes, the bravery that takes is incredible. Donald Trump's going to win. He's going to win. I know that that's true. Why is Donald Trump going to win? The people he's about to defeat have no idea. And they're panicked. They have no idea why people like Donald Trump. And their first theory was, well, Donald Trump is evil, so half the country's evil also. And that's one of the reasons they spent the last 4 years trying to destroy the country, because they're mad at its voters for liking Donald Trump. How much easier would it have been just to pause for 20 minutes and ask yourself honestly in some silent place, why do people like Donald Trump? And if they had been honest enough to ask themselves that question, they would have come up with the two main reasons, and here's what they are. The first reason that people like Donald Trump is because he likes them. That's why. And it's real. Affection is something you can't fake. I don't care how many times Kamala Harris would tell me she loves me, I don't believe her. I saw her kiss her husband with a mask on. A mask on. That's her version of love. It's fake. It's not real. They spent 10 years telling you Trump is a hater. Do you feel that on him? No, you don't. Because it's not there. I've spent a lot of time with Trump. And there's not one moment I've ever been with him off camera where he's spending his time grousing about people he hates. Ever. He's talking about the people and the country he loves in his private time. Trust me. And people know, in a country that has been taken over by a leadership class that actually despises them and their values and their history and their culture and their customs, really hates them, to the point that it's trying to replace them. They know someone who actually has affection for them, and that's Donald Trump. And it's requited. It's requited. They know. When he goes to McDonald's and serves fries, like, he's not faking that at all. That's why that worked. Democratic media consultants are like, how is that working? Because it's real. That's why. And the second reason that people love Trump, and I put myself in this category, it's why I'm here today, is because he's liberated us in the deepest and truest sense. And the liberation he has brought to us is the liberation from the obligation to tell lies. Donald Trump has made it possible for the rest of us to tell the truth about the world around us. And that's the single most liberating thing you can do for people. If you want to enslave people, if you want to degrade them, force them to tell lies. And they have. They forced us to lie about everything at gunpoint, effectively. They put people in prison for refusing to lie. And not just the obvious lies that men can become women or Vladimir Putin blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. No, honestly, he did. January 6th was an insurrection. They were unarmed, but it was very insurrection-y. Not even the obvious ones, but the big lie. You know what the big lie is? The big lie is that they're impressive. That's what the big lie is. That the people in charge have somehow earned the right to rule over you, and they haven't. And you know that. These are the single most useless people in the United States. They have no skills whatsoever. They've got 3/4 of the money, and they didn't earn it. They set up a system precisely for the purpose of awarding themselves wealth and power when it's undeserved. You look at Liz Cheney and you ask yourself honestly, what skill could she possibly have that allowed her to send hundreds of thousands of people to their deaths? Did she earn that? I don't think she did. No fair system would make Liz Cheney powerful. No fair system would make Larry Fink rich. No fair system would elevate someone like Kamala Harris to a presidential nomination. She's never been accused of doing anything useful. She has precisely no achievements. She's a nominee without getting a single vote. She is a metaphor for the system they created to make themselves rich and powerful, and then they have the gall to lecture you, the people who can actually change a flat tire and repair a power grid, who have useful jobs, who pay your taxes and work 40 hours a week, lecture you that you are somehow immoral. And Donald Trump has empowered the rest of us through mostly just sticking around in the face of their hate and abuse and persecution. He has given the rest of us the right to call BS on the charade. No, you are not better than us. No, you are not smarter than us. No, you do not deserve what you have. You probably stole it. No, you're not going to bully me into silence anymore. And I can promise you at this point, 9 days out, when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard and pretty much every high school senior and college shorty girl in the country has come out finally say, yeah, I am for Donald Trump, actually. When the entire country has realized there is nothing embarrassing about this, what's embarrassing is to take a perfectly great country and destroy it, as they have. I'm not ashamed. You should be. At that moment, it's going to be pretty tough for them 10 days from now to look in the eye to America with a straight face. It's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president, it was just a groundswell of popular support. And anyone who thinks otherwise is just a freak or a criminal. At this stage of the game, after 9 years of listening to their lies and finding every single one of them totally false, no, it's not safe and effective, and no, she's not impressive. It's very hard for me to believe the rest of us are going to say, you know what, Joe Scarborough, you're right. You're right. She won fair and square because she's just so impressive. I don't think so. And to me, that is liberation. It's the freedom to say what's obviously true as a free man and not a slave. And I just want to say thank you, Donald Trump, for that.